Interested. Let's bring in Florida Congressman Ted Yoho, chairman of the House Subcommittee on Asia and the Pacific, the perfect person to talk to about this. So, is this how you deal with the North? Is it tough enough?
Harrison, I think what we're doing is the best thing going forward. Ratcheting up these sanctions is the best thing, and we've had a hand in the different legislation that we've passed out. But more importantly, working with the unanimous decision out of the UN and all the other nations, putting pressure on any country or business that is still doing business with North Korea, we're going after them. This is something that will bring North Korea to the table to get a diplomatic solution to this, and I think it's the smartest way to go.
Congressman, should Vice President Pence talk with the North Korean officials? Now, you just heard what the state-run media said. They're not interested. I don't think it's up to them.
Right. No, I think if the opportunity's there, yeah, you can't get to a diplomatic solution if people aren't willing to talk. And if Vice President Pence is willing to sit down and at least start a process, I think North Korea is showing that they're unwilling to start the process. And so it makes you wonder about their earnestness about having a resolution to this. We're going to hold firm as a country on our sanctions, and our goal is to get the other countries to hold firm also. This decision will be North Korea's, whether or not they come to the table.
What do we know about family members of Kim Jongun possibly being at the Olympics? Because I've been reading about that, and does that have any significance to the process of dealing with them?
Yeah, it does. His sister's going to be there, and she's in charge of propaganda, and she's also on the sanctions list. And so this is kind of a dicey area between South Korea and North Korea to say, all right, we're going to allow somebody to skirt the sanctions list. And these are things that I hope South Korea weighs in very carefully. We met with the South Koreans yesterday. Their goal is to have a peaceful resolution to the escalation of tensions there. And so our goal as a nation is to help facilitate that within the realms that we have put out there about the sanctions and not adhering to the sanctions.
Yeah, you know, you talk about Kim Jong-un's sister being on the sanctions list. Wouldn't there be quite a few North Koreans probably at the top of the food chain who would be?
There are a lot. There sure are a lot. And that's one of the reasons we have pushed for the last 2 years to make sure that North Korea gets put back on the state sponsor of terrorism list, because that sends out a signal to the world that they're a pariah state. You either do business with our banking system or you choose North Korea. It's your choice. And that's why the sanctions have really ratcheted up.
Congressman, is there a whole lot done without the United Nations? I mean, you talk about doing business, and it doesn't seem like we have a lot of friends there who are standing by our side with regard to this. Am I missing somebody?
No, you're not. The good thing is to have Nikki Haley there, who is a strong voice and has done a remarkable job bringing these other nations in on this. And what the world community needs to understand is this is not a South Korea problem or a North America or a United States problem. This is a world problem that all nations are going to be affected if a conflict breaks out on the North Korean peninsula. And of course, our goal is to make sure that doesn't happen. Therefore, all these other nations need to weigh in and honor the sanctions and put that pressure on Kim Jong-un.
You know, I mentioned the committee you sit on, Asia and the Pacific. Has it ever been this tenuous with a former leader of North Korea? Is this the worst that you've ever seen it?
Absolutely. You know, he is hell-bent on developing a nuclear arsenal with the delivery system. He's well on his way to that, and this is something he's outpaced his father and his grandfather. And his whole emphasis is to become a legitimate nuclear state that we'll never recognize. And so what he needs to realize is these sanctions are going to cripple his country. And then he's going to have to deal with the dissent within his country and start deciding what's best for the people of North Korea. And when he realizes that, he'll come to the table.
Wow. I didn't hear you say regime change and all that, so you got to wait for this guy to change. That's an interesting strategy.
You know, that's going to be up to the North Korean people. You know, we've seen regime change in the past. I'd like to see the attitude of the regime change. And if he can do that, more power to him. And if not, I think he's going to have to deal with the internal people around him because they see the writing on the wall. You know, you look at that soldier that escaped through the DMZ. They're shooting people leaving their country. I mean, what country does that? What country does that in the 21st century?
And shoots them in the back as they leave.
Yeah, shooting people. You know, we have millions of people coming in. And, you know, it just shows you the mindset of the North Korean regime. the tiny thinking of them. You know, open up your horizons, empower your people so that they too can live, hopefully, the North Korean dream.
Congressman Ted Yoho of the great state of Florida, thank you. First time on the program. Great to have you.